There are promises that look small from the outside, but inside them live entire worlds. Worlds of loyalty, trust, innocence, and the fragile thread that holds relationships together. This story begins inside a school bus, coated with loud laughter, restless energy, and the bright thrill of a long-awaited class trip. Among the noisy students sat two sisters, Emma and Liana, twins by birth but opposites by nature. Emma, the older by 7 minutes, lived in a world powered by attention. Her heartbeat raced whenever eyes turned toward her, as if applause was the oxygen she survived on. Liana was a quiet half, a soul made of stillness and depth, someone who didn't need to be seen to exist. She carried the calmness Emma lacked and the silence Emma feared. The night before the school trip, the sisters made a promise that felt small but meant everything to Liana. They held each other's hands inside their dimly lit room as Liana whispered that they would stay together throughout the trip. Emma smiled and said always, even though something in her eyes flickered like a spark searching for fuel. Liana ignored the doubt. She believed in Emma. She always had. She thought tomorrow would be different. She thought the promise would hold. Morning arrived brighter than expected, and the school bus trembled with excitement as it rushed toward the museum. Teachers shouted instructions, students exchanged snacks, and the atmosphere pulsed with childish freedom. Emma sat by the window, pretending to listen to Liana's soft words while secretly scanning the bus like a hunter looking for attention. She noticed older kids laughing at the back seats, recording videos, creating stories, taking selfies. Every moment something she wanted to be part of. Liana, unaware of the storm that would soon come, felt comfort in knowing they would stick together. She traced little shapes on the fog bus window and smiled at Emma in a way that only someone who genuinely trusts can smile. When they reached the museum, the grand entrance swallowed them with its towering pillars and echoing halls. Their teacher reminded everyone to stay with their assigned partner, and Liana felt relieved because Emma was her partner, always had been, always would be. For a brief moment, everything felt perfect. They walked side by side through the exhibits, the soft clicking of Emma's shoes matching the slower rhythm of Liana's steps. But then came the moment that changed everything. Near the giant prehistoric skeleton, a group of 8th graders gathered with bright phones, loud jokes, and the magnetic energy of people used to being noticed. The kind of group Emma always dreamed of joining. Their laughter bounced off the museum walls, calling her like a spotlight she could not resist. She watched them. She watched the cameras. She watched the possibility of being remembered. Liana tugged gently at her sleeve, reminding her silently of the promise. But Emma's heartbeat was no longer in sync with her. It was already running toward the noise. Emma whispered she would be right back. But Liana's eyes widened, the promise tightening inside her chest like a warning. She said no. She begged softly, but Emma's desire to be seen drowned the plea. She walked toward the older students, each step cracking the promise she made. Liana stood frozen, watching her sister laugh with strangers, posing for pictures, performing for a crowd she had never met. It wasn't the first time Emma had chosen attention, but it was the first time she broke something Liana truly treasured. Hours passed slowly for Liana, who followed the class quietly, alone, invisible. She did everything correctly, listened to every instruction, stayed with the group, while Emma drifted further into her new circle. People noticed Emma. No one noticed Liana. Yet Liana kept the promise alone, silently, painfully, with a strength no one saw. She stayed near Emma from a distance, making sure she was safe, even though Emma didn't even glance back. When the teacher called for the final assembly before leaving, Emma came running toward the class, out of breath, flushed from laughter, and shining with the glow of temporary fame. But Liana's face had changed. She didn't speak. She didn't ask anything. She simply looked down at her shoes, gripping the strap of her small backpack, pretending she didn't feel the hole that had opened inside her chest. Emma tried to add her back into conversations, but a promise broken isn't easily repaired, especially by someone who doesn't understand its weight. The bus ride back home was quiet. Emma scrolled through photos of her day, admiring her own smile, celebrating her small popularity. Liana looked out the window again, but this time she didn't trace shapes on the glass. Her mind replayed the moment Emma walked away, the way her shoes clicked on the museum floor, the way she forgot her in a heartbeat. Liana didn't cry, because heartbreak in silence is heavier than tears. She simply breathed the pain and let it settle. When they reached home, Emma excitedly showed their parents her pictures, explaining how fun the day was, how everyone loved her jokes. No one noticed that Liana quietly went to her room, placed her backpack on the floor, and sat in the corner with her knees pulled to her chest. She didn't complain. She didn't blame. She just felt something she had never felt before, the loneliness of being loyal to someone who wasn't loyal back. That night, while Emma slept peacefully, dreaming of attention, Liana stayed awake listening to the soft ticking of the clock and wondering if promises only mattered to people who kept them. She realized something bigger than her age, something adults struggle to understand. Some people chase validation, while others carry loyalty like a quiet burden. And sometimes the kindest people break silently while the loudest people celebrate. The next morning, when Emma approached her with the same bright smile, Liana didn't push her away. She loved her sister too much. But something in the way she breathed, moved, existed had changed. She wasn't angry. She wasn't bitter. She simply understood something new. Trust must be protected, not assumed. And although she never said a word, Emma felt the shift like a shadow following her. Because attention fades, applause ends, and crowds vanish. But the memory of breaking someone who trusted you, that stays. What the two sisters lived that day was more than a school trip. It was a lesson wrapped inside a promise. In life, there will always be people who chase attention so desperately that they forget the hearts waiting for them in silence. There will always be Emmas, people who shine in crowds but fail in moments that truly matter. And there will always be Lianas, souls who carry promises with sincerity, who stay loyal even when they aren't seen, who love beyond recognition. But the world slowly teaches us a truth we all learn one day. Attention is temporary, but trust is permanent. Validation lasts minutes, but loyalty lasts lifetimes. A broken promise may not make noise, but it can echo inside a heart forever. The sister who broke her promise didn't understand that her small action planted doubt in a heart that once believed in her completely. The sister who kept the promise learned how painful silent loyalty can be, yet she stayed true to herself. In the end, the story reminds us that real relationships aren't built on applause. They're built on quiet moments where we choose each other over the world. The ones who stay when no one is watching are the ones who matter. A promise kept in silence is more powerful than 1,000 words spoken for attention. And sometimes the loudest betrayals come from those who never meant to hurt us. They simply didn't realize the weight of the promises they made. So choose wisely what you chase, the world's attention or one person's trust. Because one disappears and one remains.